President Donald Trump has said the United States will be forced to totally destroy North Korea unless Pyongyang backs down from its nuclear challenge, mocking North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as a rocket man on a suicide mission. Loud murmurs filled the green-marbled UN General Assembly hall when Trump issued his sternest warning yet to North Korea, whose ballistic missile launches and nuclear tests have rattled the globe. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and his regime. Trump addresses the UN photo app unless North Korea backs down. He said, "We will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea." Trump emphasized that it was against the interest of the entire world for North Korea, which he called a band of criminals, to obtain missiles and nuclear weapons. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and his regime, he said. North Korea's mission to the United Nations did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Trump's remarks. A junior North Korean diplomat remained in the delegation's front row seat for Trump's speech, the North Korean UN mission said. In his first appearance at the annual gathering of world leaders, the president used a 41-minute speech to also take aim at Iran's nuclear ambitions and regional influence, Venezuela's collapsing democracy and the threat of Islamist extremists. U.S. President Donald Trump speaks at the United Nations General Assembly photo app. He also criticized the Cuban government, but his strongest words were directed at North Korea. He urged UN member states to work together to isolate the Kim government until it ceases its hostile behavior. "We must not sleepwalk our way into war," UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. Photo Bloomberg. He said North Korea's pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world with unthinkable cost of human life. In what may have been a veiled prod at China, the North's major trading partner, Trump said it is an outrage that some nations would not only trade with such a regime but would arm, supply and financially support a country that imperils the world with nuclear conflict. Turning to Iran, Trump said the 2015 nuclear deal negotiated by his predecessor, Barack Obama, was an embarrassment and hinted that he may not recertify the agreement when it comes up for a mid-October deadline. "I don't think you've heard the last of it," he said. He called Iran an economically depleted rogue state that exports violence. "It is time for the entire world to join us in demanding that Iran's government end its pursuit of death and destruction," he said. The speech marked his latest attempt to lay out his America First vision for a U.S. foreign policy aimed at downgrading global bureaucracies, basing alliances on shared interests, and steering Washington away from nation-building exercises abroad. Trump, who entered the White House 8 months ago, told world leaders at the 193-member global body that the U.S. does not seek to impose its will on other nations and will respect other countries' sovereignty. "I will defend America's interests above all else," he said. "But in fulfilling our obligations to other nations we also realize it's in everyone's interest to seek a future where all nations can be sovereign, prosperous and secure." Reading carefully from a script, Trump said the U.S. military would soon be the strongest it has ever been. Turning to Venezuela, Trump called the collapsing situation there completely unacceptable, and said the U.S. was considering what further actions it can take. "We cannot stand by and watch," he said. Shortly before Trump's speech, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres appealed to the General Assembly to avoid war with North Korea and offered pointed reminders about stronger international cooperation. "Trust within and among countries is being driven down by those who demonize and divide," said the former Prime Minister of Portugal in a speech that included English, French and Spanish. "This is the time for statesmanship. We must not sleepwalk our way into war." The UN Security Council has unanimously imposed 9 rounds of sanctions on North Korea since 2006, and Guterres appealed for the 15-member body to maintain its unity on North Korea. To Myanmar's government, Guterres issued a blunt directive. The authorities in Myanmar must end the military operations and allow unhindered humanitarian access, he said. He added that he was encouraged by the remarks of Aung San Suu Kyi on Tuesday, but said Rohingya people who have fled their homes must be allowed to return home in dignity. On climate change, Guterres referred to the hurricanes that recently ravaged the United States and the Caribbean, and called for the world to step up its promises, made under the Paris Climate Agreement, to contain carbon emissions. "We know enough today to act," he said. "The science is unassailable." On the rights of refugees and migrants, he assailed what he called closed doors and open hostility and called on countries to treat those crossing borders with simple decency and human compassion. Reuters, New York Times.